Thank you so much. Very kind of you. So yeah, that song was off an album I did during COVID. I just wanted to try something different and actually recorded an acoustic record called Sigil. And I recorded it all on acoustic guitar. And we did it once on a tour. And I've never heard the end of how much people want to hear it again. So I thought it would be cool to try and rearrange it for clean electric. And I did that a couple of days ago in preparation of some shows. And so yeah, that was the first time I've played that to an audience. Cue the woo. Yeah, so I thought it was actually a really good test for the guitar as well, because obviously people don't see a guitar like this and assume that it's going to make lots of nice, clean, finger-picked kind of noises, and that's testament to the SSV pickup in the neck. I think it sounds absolutely awesome. So yeah, obviously very excited to be back here at Wildcat Guitars. I feel like I was just here, like literally as we were setting up, I was like, oh yeah, I was just here a few months ago. So let's give it up for Wildcat for putting this on. You guys are the best. And also, of course, to Sir, who are hosting me this evening. And we have a couple of guys from Sir here, so let's hear it for those guys. Thank you so much. The jet lag is kicking in nicely, I'll have you know. I flew in yesterday. And so I always feel really warped when I'm here. Not as warped as last time, though, when Justin made me skydive hours before coming here. Which, yeah, I wouldn't recommend if you're just about to play to the general public. But there you go. So I'm going to play a little bit more music now, get to the good stuff, and then, yeah, talk a little bit about my signature guitar. Obviously, I just want to keep this thing open for questions. It's always fun when it's a bit of a hang. So anything you guys want to talk about, please just ask me. About music, songwriting, practice, you know, is Australia hostile to human life? All of the pertinent questions. Is it a real country? I can tell you that it is, because I just came from there. But yeah, seriously, anything and everything, please just ask away.
What are you playing through?
Oh, good question. I am playing through a Fractal FM3 modeler, which this particular unit is an older one lent to me by my very nice friend here, Mike Avename, who's also teching for me this evening. Let's give it up for Mike. What a guy. Yes. He accommodates me, drives me around. When like adult gear MIDI problems happen, he fixes it. So yeah, I've been a Fractal guy for maybe 10 years, just out of convenience, and I like being able to program all the kind of set changes in the song, which is what was happening throughout that song and everything else I do tonight. So yeah, that's what I'm playing through. Any other questions?
Do you only use the Fractal? Do you ever play through 2 amps or solid state amps?
I do, man. Like in the studio, I tend to fire up the amps just for inspiration, really. So I've been a Friedman guy for a while. They're awesome.
Which Friedman amp do you use?
The B100, which is cool. Just does like the high gain Marshall thing. You know, really nice, just what I'm used to. And I have a model of it, which I use here in the Fractal, which you'll hear in a moment. So I'll get to some more music, unless you guys have any questions straight off the bat. I love it how they just fired straight up. All right, let me get to some more stuff. Give me a sec.
That first piece was fantastic, by the way.
Man, I really appreciate that. Thank you so much.
Killer.
Dude, I appreciate that so much. Thank you. I was quite nervous having not played that for anyone before in its format. Okay. go. Oh, thank you. That's my favorite end of song noise to hear, just a little chuckle from Nigel. Oh, I love it. So yeah, that song was actually a good use of the features on this guitar. I don't know if anyone could spot what I was doing. Oh, yes.
So could you tell us about the features and the configuration of the guitar? They're so unique. You don't really come by them too often.
Yeah, man, I feel like you're in a good position to know this as well. So, yeah, the guitar utilizes a minimal kind of set of just a single volume, the volume preset button, and a three-way selector. Do you know about the volume preset button?
Yeah, you can twist the trim knob in.
Yeah, that's right. Let me demonstrate a little bit how I have it set up if I go to a general patch. So here is the guitar wide open, volume just full. If I push the button in now and just play similar things. I have it set to dip the volume by about 40% into what I call the sweet spot. Raise your hand if you're familiar with the guitar sweet spot. No? Oh, yes, one. Okay, awesome. So for me, like, I tend not to be a pedal guy and be switching on different gain stages and things when I'm playing. I like to get as much functionality just out of the guitar as possible. So for me, a volume control is kind of useful in three positions: all the way up, all the way off, or in that sweet spot, which is where you kind of turn the volume down, nothing happens for a while, it's all the same. And then you hit this little narrow band where all the kind of frequencies are there and the response and dynamics are there, but the gain is just in a much more musical kind of position. And then anything after that is kind of useless as well. All the frequencies vanish, and it feels all thin. So I have it set to that on this particular guitar. It's much more easy to demonstrate with some different sounds. For example, I can go from this big goblin, scary monster noises to this nice and quick. Or in the neck pickup, it's nice for, that was just for you, that little lick. So, it just means that I can get kind of a big range of tonal versatility straight from the guitar. And as you probably know, when we were coming up with the idea, I wasn't sure how to best do it. I thought it would be cool to maybe put a notch in the volume knob. When you're like twisting audio gear and it like kind of locks? Yeah. That was too hard to do. And so we built off the kind of blower position thing that was already in there. And a big important feature was if an end user were to buy the guitar, you have to be able to set the sweet spot up for your own rig. For me, I use a really high gain kind of thing, so it works for me. But yeah, you can actually take the back plate off, and inside the guitar is a customizable trim pot where you can set that sweet spot or just assign any volume to the button. That's cool. That works in your rig. Sometimes I just sit down and play looking for inspiration with it. I'll go through some sounds. Now wide open with the single coil split. In fact, in that song, I don't know if you'll recall, but there was a little riff that went like this. For that bit, when it kicks in, I always want it to sound like that real snappy, glassy, coming to cut your eyelids off kind of sound. And so I can actually achieve that by, when I'm playing as I lead up into that riff, just tapping on the volume. So the push for me is nice and simple, works on stage really well. So I can go from that full humbucking kind of soaked sound really easily. So I guess that would conclude the setup. I've got, no tone, because I have the joke, I don't know why guitarists have tone controls. You have a function on there to make your guitar sound worse if you wanted to. No, I know they're useful. But I never used it. For me, it was always just to check it was all the way up. That was kind of all I ever used it for. So I got rid of it on this model, the volume with the splits, three-way, and the volume preset. So that's pretty much how it works.
James,
So yeah.
You adjust the sweet swatch,
The trim pot.
the trim pot in the back. You adjust it if you're playing direct, like in your fractal, versus if you're going to a tube amp, or is it always where it is?
For me, it's always where it is because I have the gain kind of just set the same on both of them, and it works really well. I have the kind of gain structure a bit higher on this, typically for my live sound, because on the albums I layer up the guitars. And obviously, when we play live, we're just playing a trio, and I have no guitars in the backing tracks. So I keep the gain up a little bit higher to, just toughen up the sound a little bit. So it's not as pronounced as it typically would. But in my studio tones, when I hit it in, it really goes, it cleans up quite a lot. And I keep it the same, whether I'm plugged into an amp or with the digital rigs. I keep the gain kind of about the same. It sounds really nice when I have the guitar split with the volume preset in. It's just a really good starting position. So with it in now, which I didn't do before. And so yeah, like I obviously haven't changed any patches this whole time, just getting all this tone versatility out of it. Really nice with the volume preset in and in split. Sounds like this. All that good your dad's guitar tone kind of stuff, you know. But yeah, I love it, especially for the rock stuff. It works really well when you have the trim pot in and the single coils, you know. No, I won't do it. It's all right. But yeah, so it's like, it's really cool for all that kind of stuff as well.
Is there a reason why you picked the modern shape over a standard or a classic bass?
Yeah, I mean, that's actually a great question. I tend to record a lot of my music with my two antiques randomly. A lot of people don't really know this about when they listen to my records. The majority of I record with an old antique classic custom S, a really old one, and I have an antique T as well. Not that I don't use the humbuckers on the records, I just love the unpredictability and the sound of single coils on record. You know, like a humbucking guitar is great for live because it's really consistent and everything's nice and compressed. Single coils, there's just that wild unpredictability. You hit a note, hit it exactly the same again, and a totally different thing happens. I love that. But the modern for live, it's perfect. Perfect. The functionality, having the range. I've also just been playing moderns live for over 10 years, so it's just home to me.
You ever get the all 24 frets?
Sorry, what was that?
Do you ever use all 24 frets?
I do, man. I definitely do. I use the 24th fret because I'm too lazy to bend all the way up from that high up. Cuts my finger. But yeah, I do, man. If you watch carefully, actually, in the next song I'll play you guys, I'm pretty sure I do use that 24th fret. I'll do it just for you in case I don't. But that's a good catalyst actually for me to talk about the trem on this guitar. One of the unique features is that the tremolo bar is lower on this one than on the standard one. It's about 1/4 inch closer to the body. And the reason for that is, yeah, at some point, I don't know, maybe about 5 years ago, I started doing a lot more hybrid picking. So, you know, picking and using fingers at the whole time, at the same time. So like... You know, so I've got this kind of closed grip that I've adopted now when I'm picking. Even when I'm not doing hybrid playing, I still have the closed grip. So, I mean, for me, because I'm a diva, I thought that the bar where it naturally swung up into the guitar, it felt like it was lifting my hand up away from the guitar and I would have to kind of reach in. So with this height, when I'm playing hybrid, it's just floating perfectly in my natural playing position. And so I tend to kind of loop around my second finger and push up and down with it. And it just feels really comfortable and seamless in my grip. And I'm going to do that a lot in this next song, as you'll see. All right. You guys down for some more music? Yeah. All right, let's do it. All right. The gear fear. Let's make sure this works. It works. Thank you, Mike. Oh, thank you so much. So there you go, 2 24 fret touches there. There we go, it worked out. Yeah, so you could see I was like gripping the bar and utilizing it a lot in that song and getting pretty aggressive with it. It's one of my favorite things about this bridge, the 510, is that it's really hard, well, I find it difficult to do anything unmusical sounding. There's kind of like a lane of musicality that as you pull up on it, it won't let you do anything silly sounding. And when you depress it, it doesn't do the, silly out of tune stuff. So it's my favorite bridge. Sounds awesome. And it can take the heat, as you can see. Any questions at this point?
How did you develop your sense of odd time and stuff like that? I'm trying to nod my head and follow along.
I'm sorry for that. I don't know, man. I think it's probably a combination of, I was a drummer before I played guitar.
That's why.
Probably, yeah. And, it's funny, I've never shook that feeling. I say to people, I still feel like a drummer. To this day, I haven't played for so long, and I feel like a pretend guitar player, I love drums, and because I, couldn't play them as a kid because the police came to the apartment too many times, I program a lot of drums, and I do all that stuff on my records, and I like to challenge myself a lot with the rhythm and the programming, and then same with the playing, with the instrumentation. So I think it's probably a combination of, being a drummer first and just trying to challenge myself rhythmically with the songwriting and make things interesting. So, yeah. Any other questions?
So a lot of players struggle, especially as they're trying to pick up speed.
Yeah,
They
dude.
struggle to be fluid, right, and connect the left and right hand together.
Definitely.
Maybe you could speak a little bit to how did that come together for you?
Yeah. Yeah, it's an interesting one. Like, I know that my music is technical and I play technically, but at the same time, I kind of don't care about technicality that much in music. I always find that technicality is best served for the music. So for me, it just kind of happens that the music that I want to make happens to be quite technical at times. So it forced me into this corner. I was like, okay, well, I better be able to play this music that I want to make. And yeah, put a big focus on the individual techniques involved. So there's no substitute for the good old on the metronome grind. That's, I think, where I kind of cut my chops the most, was just learning the basic things, like learning all the scales, learning the finger positions, learning the modes. I did a lot of, after high school and music school, just learning material that was aligned with my own musical my musical interests. And yeah, just practiced a lot, especially to the metronome. Recording is another big one, so you can hear yourself back, making records and going, yeah, this is what I like about my playing. This is what I wish was better. I've been making records for, nearly 20 years, so had a lot of time to listen back and cringe at my playing. So yeah, like, especially in my younger formative, the first 10 years of playing is where I really honed the chops. And nowadays, a lot of the practice that I do that's technique based is just so I can play this material. It's a lot of work just to be able to maintain the chops at this point. So yeah, I don't really focus on technicality too much these days. Yeah.
What's your creative process? Like, do you write riffs first? Do you have looping? Do you loop a bunch? Do you start with drums? How do you write your music?
That's a really good question, dude. What was that?
I said, dude, we gotta be a name on the morning. I'm easy on the guy.
No, smash away, dude. I love it. Yeah, it's a good question. I tend to hear my music ideas first. So I'll, walk the dog or, be at the beach in the morning, or it's often when I'm doing non-music related things that I'm thinking about ideas, things come to me. They're often not guitar ideas, so they're often like a keyboard idea or a rhythmic part or something. So when a musical idea that I like enters my mind, I try to imagine is it the intro of a song? Because to me, I like to think about songs, write songs, and record songs in a linear sense. So I always start at the beginning and then work towards the end. I work with a lot of students, and it's evident with them. I've never written a riff and then tried to build a song around it. For me, I've always found that a really convoluted way to put a guitar song together. Unless it's like a basic kind of riff song, then you're knocking out AC/DC tunes or whatever, then all good. But for my music, I hope to kind of tell a story and have lots of ups and downs and peaks and valleys in the songs. So yeah, whatever the idea is, if it isn't going to work as the introduction of a song, whether it be like a keyboard intro or a little guitar riff, if it's not the first thing that happens in the song, I try to get rid of it out of my mind and never think about it again. So yeah, I will start with, when you write a riff and then try and build a song out of it, that to me is like writing some pages in the middle of a book and then having to work backwards to the intro in the end and write around it. Can be a little bit weird. So for me, the linear direction for songwriting is the way to do it. Yeah.
Your music seems very not just guitar oriented, there's a lot of ambience and stuff like that.
Definitely.
What do you like to listen to as far as just current music? Are there other guitar players that you like right now that kind of inspire you, kind of along those lines?
It's a good question, dude. I don't really listen to a lot of guitar music, to be honest. I'm a rock kid, 60s, 70s rock, that's my thing. So I try to bring those elements into the music as much as possible. You can probably hear it with all the vintage keyboards and the layers and the elements. There's lots of kind of 60s and 70s flavor in there. So yeah, more and more I'm listening to the stuff that I grew up listening to and trying to come at it again as an adult and hear it more, if that makes more sense, with a more mature ear, and bring that in. So I like to kind of take influence from the 60s and 70s rock and try and present it in the context of modern production and kind of modern guitar technicality, if that makes sense. So yeah, I love keyboards as well. Listening to Led Zeppelin, The Doors, all that kind of stuff. The Doors, right there. To me, when I think of rock music, all of those bands, it was keyboard stuff. There was keys and Wurlitzer and Rhodes and all the Moogs and the synths and all that stuff. So when I think rock music, it's just not right without keyboard, which is why my music tends to be so accompanied by big keyboard sounds. So yeah, I have a 71 Rhodes, an original one, and I use that a lot on my music as well. So yeah. As far as modern guitar stuff, I love all the guys in the prog scene, all the guys doing it. Friends of mine from Sydney like Pliny and Stephen Taranto. There's a big wave of instrumental guitar players coming out, and I think there's just never been a better time to be doing this music. It seems really popular, which is awesome. So yeah. Anyone got any other questions? No? Okay, cool. Well, I'll move on with some more music. Like I said before, I tend to record all of my stuff with my more vintage voiced single coil guitars. And so it was important with this guitar that I was able to replicate some of those tones. And this next song, if you're familiar with my older material or you saw those old Surf Factory party videos, you might recognize this song. But I originally recorded it with an S-style guitar, and I wanted to replicate that tone on stage. So I'll give you a bit of a taste of the guitar, non-humbucking for an entire song. All right, let's do this thing. Thank you very much. A bit of rock music. So yeah, that, like, I don't know if it's kind of obvious to tell, but for me, the whole tonal center having that like old school glassy single coil high gain thing, for me, just, I love that in that kind of voicing of music. It's a much more attackier, snappier kind of sound, which a song like that really needs. You can really tell the difference with the, especially with the lead stuff. You know, I always find humbuckers have a much cleaner sound, you know, especially if I'm doing the legato thing, like. It's like all together and very clean, and then opening up the guitar into split mode. I mean, yeah, it's a much more like detailed kind of acoustic-y sound on the fingers. I find it tracks on the fingers a lot, like nastier sounding, which I think is really cool, especially in that intro part there for the that kind of sound. Sounds awesome, right? It's not just me. So yeah, at this time, if anyone has any more questions, please fire them at me. We haven't even covered the hostility of Australia yet.
Australia really is hostile?
Yes, no, it isn't. It's fine, man. Not every animal there is dead set on killing human beings, but just most of them. Yeah, exactly. No, about the most worrisome thing that we have are these spiders. They're called the huntsman spider. Oh, yeah. Am I bringing you back to your childhood, Mike? Yeah, it's a uniquely Australian problem when you come home and there's one of those on the wall. They're unkillable and they run very, very fast.
Yeah, I'll never go to Australia then. The size of rats. That sounds like my worst nightmare.
Yeah, it's every Australian man's worst fear when you come home with a girl and you see behind the clock the legs sticking out. And you're like, oh no, it's time to be a man and deal with this.
Just those tiny little spiders we have to deal with here. It's easy to be a man.
America. Yeah, no, it's not too hostile, man. You know, there's just great whites in the ocean and spiders that want to kill you when you get home. So it's all good. Anyway.
Unkillable spiders.
Yeah, they really are. If you spray them, they just run away and then reappear with more anger later.
Yeah.
And if you whack them with a boot, they just like totally deflect it and then run off and come back with a vengeance.
Yeah.
So the only way to deal with them is you have to capture them in something. So you have to like physically get up close to it and try and put like a huge container over it. And then get the paper on it. And it's usually at this point you scream very high pitched and drop all the stuff and then run away. Yeah, throw the container straight at the wife and just run. Yeah.
Push her down on your way out of the house.
Yeah. Oh yeah, another great Australian fun and games thing is when you're driving down the highway and one comes out of the air conditioning vent.
Oh my God.
And you have to try not immediately drive straight into the truck coming in front of you.
I didn't need to sleep tonight.
Well, that's all right. There you go. So yeah, no, it's not too hostile. But yes, the huntsman problem is a real one. It happened to me. It was so funny. I was saying to my wife, like, we moved into a place that's like inside a national park, so there's lots of trees and bush around. And I said to her, oh, it's so weird. Since we've moved here, we've never had a huntsman in the house. It's just like, can't believe that. And then the very next night, came into the bedroom and turned on the light and was like, oh shit, here we go. Yeah. So no, it's not too hostile. Yeah. So yeah, any other questions? Can relate to anything, you know, as far as songwriting, we've covered a little bit of practice routines, you know, touring, industry stuff.
How do you learn your tracks?
How do I learn them?
Yeah, because there's not a lot of stuff that's repeated.
No, nothing repeats, unfortunately. The older I get, the more unfortunate that is. Yeah, it's a great question, man. Like just sheer muscle memory, and if I forget the muscle memory, then I make an error. So when I come to do something like this, and I'm playing a bunch of tracks, or I'm going on tour and playing a full set, it normally takes me about, once I've got the songs under the fingers, I'll probably play the entire set once or twice a day for 3 months, just to like get it in the muscle memory. Because, you know, with music like this, as soon as you step on stage and everything goes dark and you're uncomfortable and something flashes in your eye, you see the huntsman, like, yeah, so that has happened to me actually at a gig. I was playing and looked up at the roof. There was like this really low like rock bar roof thing, and I looked up and there was a massive huntsman on the roof. And I made critical blunders that evening. But so just like repeat, like trying to get it down under the fingers as much. And that's one of the weird byproducts of practicing stuff into muscle memory is I find that the hardest thing for me is concentration. I just find it really hard to, once it's under the fingers, I know I need to keep doing it day in and day out for it to, like anyone doing some kind of repetitive athletic thing. I just find the concentration so hard. I don't know if anyone can relate to this, but I'll sit down and be like, all right, let's play this really difficult music. And I'll be halfway into that first solo and like, where did I put my car keys? And make a huge error. It just takes one little thing in my brain to like override and blow out the computer.
I do that too, but I play really easy music, so I can do that.
Dude, I wish. And so I try so hard when I'm on stage and when I'm playing just to be like, I know you've done this a million times, but just concentrate on the songs. And, you know, of course I start thinking about...
I go, what's the next note?
That'll do it.
This whole time and I have no idea.
That'll do it. If you have to think what the next note is, you've blown it, for sure. It's the same with me, man. But I'll be on stage like you're on stage, don't, you know, and I'll be like, you know, how low are the cherry tomatoes in the fridge? And like, damn it, you know.
Well, let's see what the bass player plays.
Yeah. Yeah. So, for these songs, at least once a day for a couple of months, just to get them up to playing ability. And then it's, don't think about, you know, what's in the fridge and etc.
When you, as a younger player, did you do the cover scene?
I didn't do the cover scene, but I played in a covers band a little bit around AIM, actually, AIM time. Mike and I, everyone knows Famous Mike by now. We went to primary school, high school, and music school together. And then he left Australia and came here to live in LA, and now we're buddies here. So there you go. It's been a long time. But around the time we were in music school, I did some covers stuff, but it just wasn't for me. Like, I just thought...
Learning those songs really easy.
Actually, no. I'm terrible. Like, as soon as someone moves around on a guitar in a way that is not what I would do, I find it really hard to force my brain and fingers to not do the thing that is, like, instantly comfortable and gratifying to me. It's really important to do, to, you know, we've all had that moment where you learn a song and you go, that's how we did that thing. It's, like, really exciting. He found notes that weren't available to you previously. So I did like it. I found it difficult. But yeah, just doing the covers thing, like, you know, lugging, you know, Real Man's amps through the streets, you know, to do the three-hour sets. I found it kind of punishing, and just preferred to write and make my own music. So, but I did like it. I really did like it. It was fun, but never did it like, you know, guys who do it for a job and they do it all the time. Never did that stuff.
I think what makes it tough is there's a bit of a disconnect, at least there is for me. When you've written so much of your own music for so many years,
yeah,
right? Like you said, you're so familiar and so settled on what you do and how you do it.
Totally.
When you have to sit down and learn somebody else's thing,
yeah,
and try and emulate that, and you don't know where they're coming from, right? It's uncomfortable.
Yeah, I find it hard even today. Like, the better of a player I get, the more comfortable I get, just the harder I find it, because I'm just so set in my way of doing things.
You've always been very heavily committed to doing your own thing, though.
Yeah, I guess so, from the beginning.
14.
Yeah.
It's always been like your band, your thing, your music, your playing style. Like you've always wanted to do that.
Yeah, it's true. Such an ego diva. Just got to do my thing.
I'm where you are. At 59, since I was just out of high school, everything I've done has been original music.
Yeah, that's awesome,
I've really
dude.
done a cover band. We have a house band that we're starting here at Wildcat that's all covers.
How awesome.
And I'm the guitar player in the band, and these guys have no idea how badly that's going to
Awesome.
We didn't write that song.
Yeah. That's it. Just get this one down. Just do that whenever you make a mistake. Oh, yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I've always enjoyed the challenge of writing music. Just there's nothing I've found in life that I enjoy more than that moment of putting something together from nothing to something. I'm always like still amazed that can be a thing.
100%.
So it's super cool. Who like raise your hand if you do your own original stuff? Yeah, back there behind the glass. Yeet, awesome. I mean, it's important definitely to learn the material that aligns with your interests, and like I said, discover those things that the greats that come before us have done, and bring that into your own music. Use that inspiration. But yeah, just literally from the first time I picked up a guitar, I was like, wait, I have the freedom to do whatever I want here, and that really excited me, and still haven't stopped trying to challenge myself to, write cool stuff.
James, when you're recording
Yeah.
your albums, how much of that do you do yourself, and how much of that do you bring? Being a drummer, do you play your drums, or do you bring that in?
I wish I could play those drums. No, so I assemble all of the music in a linear sense. Like I said, I'll start from the start of the song, finish at the end. On average, it takes me about 3 or 4 months to track a song if I do it kind of every day. So some records have taken me like 3 years of daily work to kind of put together. That first song that I played this evening, the acoustic, still was on electric, it was on the album, it's an acoustic thing. Those songs are all 10 minutes long, so that album took me kind of the entire of 2022, so about a year. And the way that I do it is I assemble all the instruments. So I play all the guitar, I play all the keyboards and synths, and I play all the bass, and I program all the drums as something for me to assemble and bolt the songs together with. And once that's finished and I've tracked a complete performance into those programmed drums, I will remove those drums and either give them to my drummer in Australia, Dave Horgan, and he will do real drums over the top, and then we'll put those two things together. Or Mike and I have done some stuff together. He was a drummer, so that's kind of how I do it. But yeah, everything at home, I do everything. Yeah. Any questions?
James, when did your passion for music start?
Oh, man. I was raised by a musical family, so day dot, pretty much. Grew up with, like, jazz in the house and, like, hippie parents playing Zeppelin and all that kind of stuff. So for me, kind of out there weird rock music was just, like, the norm since I was a little baby. I remember the first CD I ever got, if we remember those things, the old compact disc. The first one of those I got was the Best of the Doors, actually. And so I was like, oh my God, I have my own music. This is so cool. And I listened to that album for years. But yeah, right from the get-go, played drums as a little kid and played a bit of keyboard. And after the cops showing up to the apartment too many times, even with practice pads, I don't know if you've had this problem. Practice pads are not quiet, by the way, if anyone was wondering. Still would get the cops playing the practice pad. I went to my friend's house in late high school. I started playing pretty late, maybe 17, when I was about 17. Went to my friend's house and his sister had a, Squire Strat, with 5 rusty strings on it and a 9-inch nail sticker on the front. And I was like, oh, is that an electric guitar? That's pretty cool. And he was like, yeah, she doesn't even use it. You can borrow it. So I took it home, and that's kind of how I started playing. Funny story, I had no idea it was meant to have 6 strings for like about 6 months. And there was a guy in the year above us in high school who could play like some Chili Peppers stuff on bass. So we thought he was a god. And I used to get the bus like hours away to his house so he could tune those 5 strings up for me. So there you go, pretty rock and roll.
What
Yeah.
string was missing?
The low E, sadly, the most important one. So yeah, kind of right from the beginning, man. I was just into music and interested in it and wanted to do it. I just knew that's just what I wanted to do. There was never going to be anything else, and so I chose to make the least financially profitable music, appealing to the narrowest of people in the world. So yeah.
Would you consider, with the right artist, would you consider a kind of sideman gig?
100%, I would do it. I've been doing the kind of thing that I'm doing now for 10 years, and of course, various things have piqued my interest along the way. I've done an acoustic record, I've done a keyboard record, but yeah, I did bands before I went instrumental, and I loved it, absolutely loved it. Maybe people can relate to this, I got really sick of band politics, and you're only as good as your weakest member. Factoring in people's finances and girlfriends and annual time off works into every decision just got tiresome. Just wanted to rock, So I went off and tried to do my own thing. And I just made an instrumental album in my bedroom that I thought no one would care about. And funnily enough, it was the thing that the exact same year I started with Sir when I put that out. So yeah, if the right situation came along and I could lend my services to an artist and it was fun, I would 1000% do it. Yeah, it'd be awesome. So yeah, any questions or get back to the music?
Yeah, another track.
All right. I'm gonna. I got 2 more tracks for you guys, and then maybe we can wrap this thing up. But before I do, come hang after. Come try out the guitar. Come try out all the beautiful Sir guitars here that we've got on display. I mean, an amazing collection. And again, I just want to thank Wildcat and Sir so much for hosting me and putting this on. You guys are the absolute best. Let's hear it for them one more time. Yeah, lads. Awesome. Awesome. So I'll play another couple of tracks for you guys, and then yeah, I'm just going to hang around and talk to everyone, and by all means, come up and check out all the gear, try the guitar, ask me anything else. If you want to ask me kind of private, dirty things, go for it. I've got a couple of picks of mine which I haven't used this evening, my signature picks. If you want one, come ask me. I'm happy to give some away. So yeah, I'm going to left my 2 most difficult songs to the end when I'm at my most jet lagged and tired. So let's see how this goes.
Muscle memory.
Yeah.
I actually don't know where my car keys are. It's a bit of a problem. Thank you, guys. Thank you. Guys, thank you so much. I only thought about my car keys twice. Yeah, thank you so much. Oh.
Encore!
Yeah, that's all the music I got this evening. But guys, again, thank you so much for coming. I really appreciate all the awesome questions. Thank you to Wildcat. Thank you to Sir for having me. It's so great to be back. Almost feels like a kind of second home here. So yeah, hang out, and yeah, be great to meet you all after. Thank you so much.